Good evening. Welcome to the combined agenda and regular meeting of the Monroe Township Council, October 4th, 2021. This meeting is called to order. I would like it if we would all please rise to salute our flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilman Leonard Baskin.
Here.
Councilman Charles DePiero.
Here.
Councilman Terrence Banzura.
Here.
Council Vice President Elizabeth Schneider.
Here.
Council President Miriam Cohen.
Here. Would you please read the Sunshine Law into our record?
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, it is hereby announced and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting that adequate notice has been provided by the following. 1, posted on the bulletin boards within the municipal building on December 29th, 2020, and remains posted at that location for public inspection. 2, printed in the Home News Tribune and noticed to the Cranberry Press on January 1st, 2021. 3, posted on the Monroe Township website. And 4, sent to those individuals who have requested personal notice. In accordance with Chapter 3, Section 17 of the Monroe Township Code, public comment shall be limited to a rolling 5-minute time limit unless further time is granted by the council president.
Item 5, please.
Proclamations on the agenda for tonight are National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is October 2021, and Becker Muscular Dystrophy Awareness Week, October 3rd through the 9th of 2021.
Thank you. Would you begin with the ordinances for the second reading at the October 4th regular meeting, please?
Ordinance 08-2021-019, ordinance amending Chapter 108, Article 16.1 of the Code of the Township of Monroe to require electronic submission of land use applications. Ordinance 09-2021-020, ordinance amending Chapter 122 of the Code of the Township of Monroe, County of Middlesex, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, specifically Sections 44.1, entitled Schedule, I knew I'd do this. I'm going XVA speed limits. 09-2021-021. I know it's X is 50, right?
No, it's,
Whatever.
X is 10.
Ordinance authorizing the Township of Monroe to acquire title to property by deed of dedication to Block 35.03, Lot 27.01, located on Mounts Mill Road.
it's really 15A, just so you know, it's actually Article,
Okay,
Schedule 15.
I'll remember that when I read it
They're
later.
sending us back to 6th grade where they taught us that.
Thanks, Lou.
This doesn't mean 3 trillion. No.
Item 7 is the resolutions for consideration under the consent agenda at the October 4th regular meeting. Numbers are 10-2021-207 through R10-2021-218. Appreciated if all council members would please review these resolutions, letting the clerk know if there is any that you would wish removed from the consent agenda. None? Oh, okay.
If I could, just going
Yeah.
back to the ordinances for second reading, I would like to be heard on ordinance 2021-020 prior to any vote being taken.
Well, in the regular meeting, we will be moving,
Fair enough?
so
Yep.
you will be heard.
They are voted
Thank you.
separately.
Thank you. Anyone? Okay. No one has any ordinance they would like, resolution they would like moved. Item 8 is the public comment section, limited to our agenda items only. Would you call, may I have a motion to open the agenda public comment section?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second on that? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone wishing to be heard in the agenda portion of the meeting, please come forward now. Sir? Oh, just raising your hand. Okay. Please come to the microphone. Name and address for our record.
This wouldn't be necessary if it was online, if there's more transparency. And you could actually open a link, but that's not where
Just
this
for general
statute works.
information, it was-
Excuse me, my name is Lucio Panos. I live at 1208C Lindera Plaza in Monroe. 209, 210, 211, 214, and 215. I have questions on those. 209, specifically what type of equipment is being shared? Which township insurance company is responsible for any accidents? Does each township have to add an addendum to their insurance policy? 210, what are the costs or other specifics of this shared service? Did this township ever consider contracting their own recycling? I know Milltown did it. It saved them $50,000 a year. 11, did the township put another RFP for services? I understand I danced around this with the attorney last time. However, this company would also have the ability to put in a bid with their same price. So to say it could be higher or lower, that can't hold true. And on 14, please give specifics of where these funds come from. Is this a one-shot revenue deal? Opportunity? And 215, how long is this contract for? Does the township get reimbursed from township insurance or FEMA? Thank you, and I reserve my time.
Mr. Weinberg, do you wish to address Ms. Panos' questions, please?
Well, the one on 214, that's the American Rescue Act recovery, I apologize. And that's the money that was allocated as part of the American Rescue Act plan, which was the pandemic relief plan that was adopted by Congress earlier this year. So the answer is that it is a one-time revenue with that, and that's only part of it.
Thank you.
Mr. Weinberg.
Thank you, Council President. On 209, yes, that is a shared services agreement with Manalapan Township to share public works equipment. And so, as a practical matter, it's when some of our equipment is broken, instead of having to go out and rent it, we borrow it from Manalapan, and Manalapan does the same back to us. And certainly, in the agreement, it says that if it's broken from regular wear and tear, then it's whoever's equipment it originally is. But if it's broken by gross negligence, then it would be whoever did that. But shared services agreement, and I'll mention in my remarks, are quite positive, and it has on many occasions saved us money. The second one was 210. This too is a shared services agreement with the MCIA for yard waste recycling, not traditional recycling as we think about it. This is for branches, grass, and a variety of other debris. We are one of 22 towns in Middlesex, one of the 22 of the 25 towns in Middlesex County that do participate in it, and it's a highly effective program, and by buying in bulk, we do save a lot, and I'm not aware that we could possibly do any better than through this program. On 211, I'll defer to Joe Stroin if I could, Council President.
Please, Mr. Stroin.
Is that on? Yes. Can you hear me? 211 is our patch paving and restoration contract. It is the same prices for the last 3 years. As you know, most of the restoration is done in asphalt. The price of oil, which is a major component of asphalt, has gone up considerably. And since the contractor has held the price for 3 years, both the first year of the contract, last year we renewed it, and this will be the last year. Next year we'll go out to bid again.
Thank you.
Sorry, and then Council President,
Please.
214, I think the township attorney addressed.
Yes, he did.
And on 215, yeah, this would be with township funds. There were no FEMA funds available for this at this point, and if anything changes, we'll certainly let the mayor and council know.
Well,
I'm directing it to the Council President.
Yes,
Sorry.
please.
okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
President, my apologies.
It's okay.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
how long is the contract for, and are you going to apply to get reimbursed from the insurance company, whether it's FEMA or anything? This was due to an act of God, maybe. Well, does it go through the insurances?
I'm not really sure I understand.
Yeah.
If a tree fell on my house, I would contact my insurance company and try to get some reimbursement. Does the township do the same in an instance like this?
In an instance where there's township property damage, it does, but the township would not have insured the other property.
Well, why are we paying for it then?
Alan, I don't know, I'm not sure I understand, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand either. It's a road that had sort of a natural disaster associated with it, and I don't think it's covered under insurance, but I'll double check with you. I don't think it's covered under
Our
the,
roads aren't covered under our insurance for damage. So
Correct.
That's the answer to your question.
through the joint insurance fund.
But please look into better insurance then.
No,
Um,
nobody
Council
does.
President.
Just so,
Nobody does.
when you say that, I just want to make sure, no municipality insures their road for damages. Because if that was the case, then they wouldn't be paying for pothole repairs by themselves. So when you say that, let's make sure we understand. what
Okay,
we're
no, let's say this was a specifically for a hurricane
It-
or tornado.
And you
That's
don't
what this
get,
says.
and no hurricane insurance covers damage to roads. It's always.
Okay, well,
So it's
thank
not
you for
covered.
offering to look into it anyway.
Sure, happy to.
All right,
Okay,
your
and as
time
far
has
as,
expired, ma'am. Your time has expired, your 5 minutes.
so
is
could
up.
you give me the grace of, since it's in your opportunity
Always
to
right.
go to, expand on the
Let us
answers?
see, other people may wish to question us, and you have time to come back again in the regular session.
So if there's nobody here, can I,
Please,
No,
we would like
that's
to,
not part of our rules.
not
And you don't
normally.
give, we don't, you
And
can't.
we
well,
don't
you know
allow
what?
people to
You're
do
you're not
things.
transparent to begin with by having this stuff online, and then you're limiting me to 5
Well, the
minutes for
resolutions
5
are online,
questions.
and the questions
That,
that
no,
you
no,
asked
that
are
you could
actually in the
open.
resolution.
That
So
you could
could have
open.
read
That's
them
not
and-
true.
It
Go
is
on,
true.
go on the website. You cannot, there's not a link to what these things are all about.
There are a link to the resolutions, and your questions would have been answered if you had read the resolutions. All
There's
of
no
these
link.
answers came from the
Maybe it's my
resolution.
computer, because it's certainly not
It
open.
must be, because everybody else can get them. They've been posted online. The clerk will tell you that.
Okay, I'll check. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
I
And what-
really do wish that you would have given more time, out of respect for a resident. Thank you.
I would like to comment, as I had wanted to say, that for anyone who comes up to speak, there is hand cleaner and there are masks on the table for your use if you would like them. Yeah. Remember to do it for the 3-minute time. Is anyone else wishing to address us now, please? Please, sir.
Anything on the
On
agenda?
the agenda.
Any agenda
This is
item?
Just
on
the agenda items only, sir. And your name and address for the record, please.
Michael Oleski, 50 Mayberry Avenue,
Yes.
here in Monroe. I know it's a little early, you haven't given me your reports yet, but I wanted to make sure that what gets answered, I guess, during the reports regarding the master plan development. Would like to understand, when might we expect some type of written report with regard to the feedback that the township actually received during the survey work.
Very good.
And that's it.
Thank you very much for your comments, for your
Yep.
time.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the body on agenda items only, please? Hearing none, seeing none, I would like to request a motion to close the public portion of the agenda session, please. So moved. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I have a motion to adjourn the agenda session, please?
So moved.
May I have a second, please? Second. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Baskin? Yes. Councilman DePiero? Here. Councilman Van Zura?
Yes.
Council Vice President Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Cohen?
Yes. Meeting is adjourned.
6:45.
You have the time down, and we will now call the regular meeting to
6:45.
order.
Yep.
And may I have a motion to call our regular meeting to order, please?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second? Thank you. We have a roll call on that, please.
Councilman Baskin?
Yes.
Councilman DePiero?
Yes.
Councilman Van Zura?
Yes.
Council Vice President Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Cohen?
Yes, may I have a motion to approve the payment of claims per the run date of September 29, 2021? Motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Baskin?
Yes.
Councilman DePiero?
Abstain.
Councilman Van Zura?
Yes.
Council Vice President Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Cohen?
Yes. Let's move to the ordinance for second reading, please.
Certainly. Ordinance 08-2021-019, ordinance amending Chapter 108, Article 16.1 of the Code of the Township of Monroe to require electronic submission of land use applications. Motion to open?
Tabled at the September 1st council meeting for needed to be renoticed, correct?
Correct.
Yes. May I have a motion to open the public hearing? Folks paying attention, are we here? Motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
May I have a second on that motion, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any members of the public wishing to speak on ordinance for its second reading, 08-2021-019? Speak now. Seeing and hearing none, I'm going to have a motion, please, to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Thank you. A second on that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 08-2021-019, please?
So moved.
May I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Baskin?
Yes.
Councilman DePiero?
Yes.
Councilman Van Zura?
Yes.
Council Vice President Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Cohen?
Yes.
Ordinance 09-2021-020, ordinance amending Chapter 122 of the Code of the Township of Monroe, County of Middlesex, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, specifically Section 44.1, entitled Schedule 15A, Speed Limits.
Yay.
You like that?
I like that.
I learn. Yeah, motion to open, Council President.
May I have a motion to open the public hearing on that ordinance, please?
So
moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any members of the public wishing to speak to this ordinance, please come forward now. Seeing and hearing none, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. May I have a motion to adopt the ordinance, please? Motion.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Baskin?
Yes.
Councilman DePiero?
Yes.
Councilman Van Zura?
Before voting, I was
Yes, so
seeking
that is
some-
the one, yes.
Before voting, I was seeking some, I'd like to make a comment at least. Let me put it to you that way.
Go right ahead,
Madam
sir.
President.
Sorry, I was going to ask you
This
which
is
one it
the
was.
ordinance where it is suggested that we're going to lower the speed limit on Spotswood English Town Road between Cornell and,
Thanks.
I believe, Machaponix.
Machaponix.
Okay? When you go from Spotswood to Cornell, it's 35 miles an hour. When you get to Cornell, and then you go up the hill and you get to Machaponix, it's 45. So the ordinance is about lowering the 45 to the 35. It would then continue 45 beyond Machaponix on down Spotswood English Town Road. So what we did is, and this came up, I guess, one of the councilmen had gotten calls from some of the residents saying that it looked like cars were speeding. We engaged the services of our police department to do a traffic study. So I see the traffic study. I got a copy of the traffic study, which was available to everyone. And what they did is they set up a speed trailer to collect data. So when they collected the data on June 2nd through June the 8th, it was set up at Suburban Plaza, which is where Luigi's and I think a few of the other places are, if I'm not mistaken. And it says that when the vehicles passed, the average speed of the vehicles that passed the trailer was 35 miles per hour. The 85th percentile was 41 miles per hour. Now, if the average speed was 35 miles per hour, when the speed limit itself was 45 miles per hour, I don't understand the reasoning for reducing the speed limit to 35. I live right off of that road. I take it every day. I'm not saying that someone may have not seen people speeding. I don't know. I personally don't see a whole lot of it. There was a second speed trailer later on set up at Tall Oaks Drive, which is the street adjacent to the old Baker's Nursery, and that tracked the southbound traffic. In other words, the traffic coming from Spotswood. And again, over at the Tall Oaks, it said the average speed of the vehicles that passed the trailer was 39 miles per hour. 85th percentile was 44. So I don't see this as being an area where it was particularly speeding, although I do recognize that one of the things that this was done by Officer Mozakowski, and he does recognize the need for consistency, and he thought it better to have consistency from Spotswood all the way up to Machaponix. Now, the only reason I bring this up is because I feel that it's important when we make our decisions, and I've said this about other things, you rely on science, you rely on things that are submitted to you, and I think here, the science shows that it's not really necessary. So that was my point on this, and I just wanted
Thank you
to
very
have
much.
that on the record.
Anyone else wish to comment on that? or the
Yes,
councilman?
I'd just like to ask,
Are we in the middle of the roll
Yeah,
call?
We're in the middle of
we
roll
need
call,
to
yeah.
Maybe we could suspend the roll call.
suspend the
so
roll
we can
call
have that, because-
officially.
Because I'd like to maybe answer some of the
No.
Yeah,
councilman's
and I
questions. too.
think once
What?
the motion was made, we should have,
You should have asked
Have-
for it.
We
so-
should have
So
asked
if we
for
can
it.
just suspend the roll
Please
call for
do.
a second, because I would.
Thank
So
you for
there-
doing
There's a couple of parts to this, and I know from this report and some other reports. One of the reasons that the police department recommends that is because when you change the speed limit at places where it doesn't appear to the traveling public that it should be, you create, let's call it speed traps, but, so it's 35, then it's 45, and then it's 35 again, and then people don't tend to understand that it turns to 35 again, and that's where you get a circumstance where people are going too fast. So
but it's
sometimes.
not. It goes 35 to 45 one time, and that's it.
Correct. But I think that in this area, at least what I remember what the police department told me, is that they were concerned that the traveling public wouldn't understand the difference between the two and why it changed. And that's what they said. Now, I don't know whether the science supports that or not, but I'm just telling you. The other thing that I know that I've been told now, not
Council President,
specifically with regards to this,
Into the mic.
is that when you
Luke,
have a
your
lot
mic,
of the
please, sir.
reasons that, when you have a lot of the readings that show that people are always traveling that roadway at a substantial rate less than the speed limit, it sometimes is an indication because it's not quite safe to go the higher speed limit, and it's kind of a recognition of that. So I'm not sure if either of those factors, you know the roadway better than I do.
No, and just like I say anecdotally, we should not rely on what other people say. We shouldn't rely on what I say. I'm not on the road 24/7, and I don't claim to be an expert. But what I'm saying is that when an ordinance is proposed and we arrange for a special report to rely upon, we should rely upon the report.
Agreed.
And I don't see where the report says that it should be changed, that's all. And I could be wrong in my assessment,
So
but
glad we all know we
but
can be
I
wrong sometimes.
feel that you have to, honor the science, that's all.
Councilman DePiero.
yeah,
you wish to
Councilman
comment?
Van Dor, just had a question. When you said you read the first report from the officer, I believe you said Suburban Plaza, where Luigi's is?
Is that further down?
Yeah, that's in a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. That's the reason why the report shows that people were doing 35.
Luigi's is not in the 35.
No, Luigi's, well, Luigi's isn't there anymore. That's Park Plaza.
Fresco, that's Park.
Park Plaza. In
Which is Suburban.
Suburban Plaza, that's currently 35 miles per
That's
hour.
where
Monarch
chicken
Park
places, listen,
Park Pharmacy.
No. It's down where the Chase Bank used to be.
okay. all
Okay,
right.
that is a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. That's why you got the report
Okay.
of cars traveling 35. That's all I want to point out.
All right, that's,
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Anyone else
But
on-
Tall Oaks is up in the 45, the other, so you have one that was done in the 35, one that was done in the 45, where it was a 35 mile per hour, people were going 35, where it was 45, they were going 39.
Anyone
for
else
whatever
wish
that
to
may mean.
comment? Hearing no other comments, we're going to resume our,
Go ahead.
oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. We're going to
Council
resume
President,
our
just
roll
let-
call.
Just let the record show that Councilman Baskin and Councilman DePiero have already voted in the positive. Now I'm on to Councilman Van Zura.
I'm going to vote in the negative.
Okay. Council Vice President Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Council President, I would just explain my vote. The reason I voted that way is because I feel that the slower speed is safer.
Thank you for your point, sir.
Thank you.
I thank you as well, and you.
Okay, on to ordinance 09-2021-021, ordinance authorizing the Township of Monroe to acquire title to property by deed of dedication to Block 35.03, Lot 27.01, located on Mounts Mill Road. Motion to open.
Yes, may I have a motion to open a public hearing on this ordinance?
So
please?
moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any members of the public wishing to address the council on this ordinance, please come forward now. Hearing and seeing none, I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion to adopt. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Baskin,
Yes.
Councilman DePiero,
Abstain?
Councilman Van Zura,
Yes.
Council Vice President Schneider,
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Item number 4 is resolutions for consideration under the consent agenda, which is R10-2021-207 and R10-2021-218.
May
Let the
we-
record show no resolutions have been pulled off for separate consideration.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt the resolutions for consideration? May I have a second?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilman Baskin,
Yes.
Councilman DePiero,
Yes.
Councilman Van Zura,
Yes.
Council Vice President Schneider,
Yes.
Council President Cohen.
Yes. We're skipping 5.
Yep, 5 is not needed.
5
We
is
do not have any
needed this
removed.
evening. We'll move to reports. The administrator's report, please.
Thank you very much, Council President. Appreciate it. I do want to give a quick update on the force main related to the landfill that we've been updating on at every meeting. And the good news is we're moving forward quickly on that. Joe Stroin, our utility director who is handling the project, is here. The design is almost complete. We're almost at 100% design, and it's our expectation that we will be out to bid on the project at the end of this week. And our expectation is to award it at the November council meeting. So thanks to Joe and his team for moving so quickly to try and move that force main forward. So just wanted to provide an update on that as well. The second thing is I just wanted to give a reminder about energy aggregation. I'll certainly have more for next month. But as many of you may recall at the last meeting, we were not able to award on energy aggregation. This is our 5th round of energy aggregation where residents have saved close to $15 million, and that'll continue through December. But the bids last month were higher than the tariff rate. The tariff rate is the rate that JCP&L automatically charges people. So we'll still have our low rate for several more months, and then everyone will switch to the tariff rate, which is the best deal at this point, and we will go out to bid again in the spring to see if we can continue our success. I don't think anyone has had a run like Monroe has had in dealing with the energy consultant of 5 straight programs of savings, but we'll be moving on to the tariff rate, and there'll be more information about that coming up. I do want to comment briefly on the shared services. It's something we hear from the governor and other folks about how important it is to share services, and we have 2 great shared services agreement on here, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. I also want to thank DPW. They've been doing a lot of really hard work in terms of cleanup from Henri, so special shout out to them over the past month. And as always, I want to thank our Parks Department. This is sort of prime time for keeping our fields the best that they can be this summer and this fall. And, I always feel that they do a great job on our fields and keeping the kids and the adults and everybody out there. So I just want to thank them as well. That's my report, Council President. I guess I would just, not to be remiss, I guess I would just ask Joe if you want to give a really quick update on the master plan for the question that we got. Not that you can't answer it during the public question period, but just so that we have it as part of our report.
Sure. From a master plan planning standpoint, the public survey closed on September 30th, which was last week. The consultant is currently collating all of the responses. We've gotten close to 82,000 individual responses, and there's close to 5,000 participants that participated in the survey. Once all of the comments are collated, they will be provided to both the stakeholder committee as well as the master plan subcommittee for their review and input. Once their review and input is gathered, we will then put together a public document that will be presented to the planning board that will include public comment. After that, the consultant will go and make any revisions that are necessary as recommended by both the public and the subcommittee and the stakeholder committee and the planning board. And then we anticipate sometime in the beginning of 2022, the master plan will come for final review by the planning board and the public for adoption. And then if there are any land use changes that are recommended, those land use changes obviously will need to be recommended and approved by the council.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Stoyan.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Council
you.
President.
Our engineer to my right, Mr. Razamowitz, please.
Thank you, Council President. I have a short report with regard to the installation of the flashing pedestrian crossing signal for Federal Road near the Stonebridge Archway Boulevard entrance. We had the pre-construction meeting on that project. That's moving forward, and we hope to have that up next month. The only other thing I got is we've completed the township-wide paving throughout town. We've completed nearly 20 streets. That included the Camelot development as well as the township-wide paving. That's all I have to report.
Thank you very much. We'll move to the council reports. I'd like to begin with our council vice president, please.
I'd first like to start with the Commission on Aging. Just a monthly report to show you how many people in August, there were 5,714 participants. That's 22 days indoor programming. In social services, August, 286 residents were taken care of. In transportation, August, 369 for medical transport, 126 to the senior center, 178 to Freehold shuttle, 31 in-town shuttle, 126 Princeton shuttle, and food pantry home deliveries. Excuse me. My allergies, that's what I have today. I don't want to panic anybody. The McFood, they held a food drive at Stop and Shop in September. That was a great success. And we've now added the Rossmore residents because of the flooding of what happened to them. So they've added them. And what they've done is because of some of them, I'm very blessed. I happen to be one of the flood victims, but I was able to live with my wonderful daughter and son-in-law, and my son and my daughter-in-law are very helpful. Some don't have that family. So what they have done is, because some people had to go to, say, suites or hotels, and they only have a microwave, they now go to the store and buy different food for these people so that they can microwave and be able to eat where they are. So I'm very grateful that I'm not one of them, that I'm been able to stay with my children. A new bus was purchased, which is wonderful because we really do a great job at the senior center. Excuse me. We have the Oktoberfest, which is coming up on the 24th. It's at the community center. It's over on Monmouth Road, and I hope everyone will attend. It's a wonderful day. It's from 12 to 4. Let me just get my notes here. The Human Relations Commission will also have a booth there on October 24th, so please stop by and say hello. And if anyone wants to join the Human Relations, this is a great commission where it's very diverse. Monroe Township is a town with a great diversity, so stop by, and hopefully you will join. That's my report.
Thank you very much. Councilman Baskin.
Oh, thank you.
Hello.
Okay, I'll be very brief. I'm a liaison to the historic, Monroe Township Historic Preservation Commission, and they ran a very successful,
Excuse me, Dr. Baskin, would you pull that down to talk?
oh, sure,
currently when-
yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Into his mic.
You like my pretty face?
And use your
that's
mic.
what you
I'm
like.
getting
Little closer to
instructions
the
from
mic
our
if you
clerk.
pull it forward.
Use your mic, too.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So the Historic Commission ran a very successful Old Timers baseball game. It was very well attended. It was a red letter day and nice and sunny, and we had a very good turnout. There was also an exhibit of the Civil War surgery, rather gruesome to think of what they did in those days before anesthesia if you had to amputate a limb. And they had the surgical equipment there. And they also had an exhibit on the collection of rainwater. And the other item that I wanted to talk about was the fact that we don't have the aggregation program now, but I read in today's Star Ledger that there are a number of what should I say, unscrupulous individuals who are trying to scam the public, and you have to be very careful. They pretend to be JCP&L, for instance, and so just be on the alert and not be suckered into something that you don't want to be into. That's my only report.
Thank you very much. Ward 3, Councilman DePiero, please.
Thank you. I just had a couple questions for our township engineer.
Sure.
Prospect Plains and Applegarth intersection, are there any updates on that intersection?
Mr. Razumowitz, one of my favorite intersections.
Council President, that's a Middlesex County project. They are working through the land acquisitions. I spoke to the engineer today, and they're still in the land acquisition phase.
How long would they expect that to take, do you know?
There's no estimate of time because they're dealing with multiple property owners.
Okay,
That they
thank
have
you.
to acquire land on that corner.
Thank you. That's good information.
Thank you, Mark. Also, Mounts Mill and Old Bridge Englishtown Road, I know we're at the same stage. Did we get any further this month?
Please, sir. Yeah.
Again, it's in
Same
the
for-
land
same answer?
acquisition phase. That one, I do know there's 13 property owners that we're dealing with on that. I believe council authorized the funds last month, so that's moving forward.
Okay, thank you. How's the railroad crossing coming on Gravel Hill, Spotswood, in front of DPW?
Council President?
Yes, sir.
That is a 2022 project by NJDOT. They acknowledged that it would be next year.
What's the schedule for the guardrail repairs? I know there's a lot of guardrails down county and township-wide roads. We have a schedule on that yet?
Please, did
Council
we not
President,
discuss this about 2 meetings ago, I believe, as well?
I do not have a schedule of that. I'll speak to our Public Works Department and check with them to see when that is going to
Thank
be
you.
installed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to thank the residents and also League of Women Voters. They did a good job with the at a forum that we all attended, and I just wanted to say to the League, also our township employees that helped put that together, and I just wanted to thank them. And as always, the township clerk's office, as this time of the year, it gets I get a lot more emails and a lot more phone calls. So I just want to say thank you for the hard work, and we appreciate you all do for our that you guys do for our town and our residents. I just want to
Thank
put
you.
a shout out to all of you.
Thank you.
Are there any updates on the transportation? I know a resident came a few months ago and asked about transportation within Monroe for a program that I'm on the ADA and everything boards, but I just haven't heard anything. We do have some grants, we do have some money that's coming from the county, and I just wanted to ask the administration, is there anything that's changed or updated that we can tell our residents for that program?
Mr. Weinberg.
Sure. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Councilman. Yes, at the direction of the mayor and hopefully with the support of the council, we'll be putting some items in the budget that would hopefully allow us, beginning next year, to transport disabled individuals within the town for work opportunities is something we are prioritizing and will be part of our budget for the upcoming year.
Okay, I think that's great, and it's something that we definitely need to do, and definitely would have my support. I'm sure, along with the council and the mayor. And just one last thing, Oktoberfest is a big thing for our community, brings our community together. Hopefully, we'll see a lot of our residents come together and work a beautiful day there. It's nice. We closed the road for safety, and we just need our residents to come out. And the last thing I wanted to say, I forgot to say, is, Mayor, just want to wish your mom a happy birthday. All right.
That's nice.
Wearing a fall shirt, too.
That's nice.
Thank you, Councilman
Thank you.
Giroux. Our councilman at large, Mr. Manzura, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I would concur with Charlie on the very well-run League of Women Voters event. I thought that was great to have everyone have a chance to be heard and allow people to hear what they had to say. And I thought it was done very professionally, and our thanks goes out to the league, including the moderator and all that were involved. I was going to bring up the transportation issue, but Charlie beat me to the punch on that one. I think that's something that's really important and we need to consider. So I had a couple of other items just to remind everybody to keep it on our radar. I am continually concerned as to when there may be a possibility that we may get tax revenue from some type of license for marijuana. I don't know when that might be, and I'm not suggesting we're doing anything this evening, but I do not want it to fall off the radar. Another thing that I would like to continue to have looked into is the possibility of increasing the exposure for the council meetings, if there's a way of doing it through Zoom. I don't know all the technology, and I understand there's a lot of technical issues in order to do it, but I still like to keep it on our burner somewhere so that it doesn't just fall through. I would like to commend the administration for moving forward as fast as they have with respect to the BFI landfill and moving forward with the forced main, which hopefully will give some relief to what those people have been going through for it's almost a year now. And it's nice that the township took the bull by the horns to try to force this issue and get them some relief. I would also compliment our administration on the shared services that we heard about in the report. And I think this is the kind of thing, although, it's not really a big item, but it does reflect ways that you could save money in taxes. Obviously, if we did not have a shared services agreement and we had some type of problem where we needed more items than we had in our inventory, trucks or tractors or whatever it might be, we would either have to go out and buy new things or we would have to pay a premium to rent things. The shared services, I believe, would save us money from doing that. And that's one of the many things that I think is just constitutes what I would call good government. Our last meeting was, I believe, September 1st. Fireworks night was September 3rd. I thought that was a wonderful event put on by the town, and everyone seemed to have a wonderful time there. We just had a cricket tournament this weekend, which was a nice event to have in our town. It's nice to see we were hosting this, and I don't think it was just township residents. I think it was people from outside, so it shows that we have a certain type of fields and things. The last thing that I really wanted just to spend a minute or two just to acknowledge, we had received some information. I saw some things also on the patch news items in the internet, And one of the patch items said, Woodbridge forms an energy cooperative with a 100% renewable goal. With what is going on in our environment now, with all of these terrible storms that we're having, which I think is only going to get worse, I think it would be incumbent upon us to try to make that same effort, and not at all costs, because there certainly is, you're not going to pay a lot extra and then cause, taxes to go up. But I think it's something that we should look at each and every time that we have an opportunity to do so. If we can get an aggregate or a cooperative that is reasonably priced within the same degree as some of the others, and it's renewable energy, I think it's something that we should go for. We should be looking, and a lot of this will be master plan stuff, but we got to be looking at solar. We got to be looking at things like purchasing electric cars and even electric buses if they become available, and whatever we can do to help our environment, because the time is now. The time is not 10 years from now. That by that time it might be too late for other people. In that same regard, I saw a news release that said that Red Bank is now the newest drive electric destination, where they're trying to become mostly all electric for their fleets. This is not something that, again, would happen overnight, but I think it's something that we need to look at. We need to keep the environment in our front mirror as opposed to the rear mirror, because at this point in time, it's pretty obvious that things are getting harder and harder. The amount of floods and heavy rain that we're having, and also, this does not exclude looking at our infrastructure, our stormwater systems, making sure that they're up to date, but we can't continue to have our citizens impacted like we had, before, and now's the time to do whatever we can to try and keep ourselves safe. So I throw that out there. I don't mean for something that, suddenly we're going to do something tonight, but let's not forget about it. It's something that we should look into as the opportunities present themselves. So that's all I have for this evening, Madam President. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
You're most welcome. I would like to comment, that the legislature has recently passed some some regulation regarding the placement of charging stations. And I have been informed that if you buy a Tesla, they guarantee you charging stations across the state. And several years ago, we were fortunate to receive, I think it was grant funds, Mr. Weinberg, was it not? That we have charging stations at our township library, right? Where we can park our cars. So I assume we will continue to see more of those over time.
I think all of those efforts, and they're not
They
mutually
all-
exclusive.
they all add
work
up.
together and
They all-
do whatever we can.
Correct. I would agree. I'm going to, at this point, comment that want you to know that the Cultural Arts Commission, which has been invigorated by increasing new members, and they will be the art show, the juried art show is occurring. There are productions under consideration, and they had a very successful virtual tour of the museum in Philadelphia. So those activities do continue despite all of the restrictions we have on what we can do and how safely we can do it. I would like to ask our mayor to please join us in that lovely fall-looking shirt tonight, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. And thank you for allowing me to
It is our pleasure
provide my
to have
report. As Councilman DePiero had mentioned, we were talking today. I'd like to talk a little bit of Monroe on a phone call, but we also would like to talk about family. I mentioned about my mom. She's 89 years old today, so 1 year removed from quadruple bypass surgery as well. So
Oh, super.
obviously raising 4 boys, I think sainthood is waiting for her. Actually it's 5 boys, the 4 sons and my father. So we always have to preface that. Just a couple high-level items wanted to mention. Just the tropical storm Henri recovery. We still are pulling a lot of tools out of our toolbox to help those who are in need. To date, 17 residents were able to take advantage of the Affordable Housing Rehab Program. Our DPW has removed 425 tons of debris. The library raised $25,000 to help those out that were in need. And we're also, again, looking at the federal reimbursement program of about $5,000 to help regarding the upcoming winter. I'll be providing some more details in regards to that, but we want to make sure that those who still need heat, hot water, insulation, walls, that those residents who are in need will have those through this type of program. Again, I have been in discussion with the region in regarding what had happened. Again, the story of those of you may have lived it or have read about it. We were kind of sandwiched in between some storms. We did not receive FEMA, just did not meet that threshold for the region. But again, I felt it was incumbent upon us to help those who were in need of that. The state suggested that we look into perhaps moving forward with this, and many of the other people and many of the regional mayors and administrators decided that this is something that we're going to look at. The three tenets that they've discussed over the many meetings I had, obviously when dealing with a natural disaster, is rescue, recovery, and mitigation. So we're still in the recovery phase of things, and hopefully down the road we'll come up with some regional ideas on how we can mitigate seeing anything like this ever happen again. Speaking of regional, I've been having some discussions with our state legislators as well as our county commissioners regarding a regional truck study. Again, there's strength through numbers and looking at it and at a regional level as opposed to just one town versus another town regarding truck traffic. I think this is something that we could rise to the challenge to make sure that the survey, the study that they do, comes out with a positive effect for our residents here in Monroe Township. And again, that'll be something that hopefully by winter time we'll have a little more detail. And as details do come to me, I will certainly be able to communicate that to everybody. Just real brief, hopefully you've been keeping track of the booster shop, which is available. If you need any further detail or information in regards to anything here in Monroe Township, locations for your booster shop, please check out our website. I always take this opportunity, again, just to thank all of the residents in Monroe Township, where we still are over 90% vaccinated for the vaccine. And again, that's just something I'm very, very proud of. I do also want to thank everyone who participated in the 9/11 ceremony, the anniversary of 20 years of September 11th. I've gone most of the years that I've been involved in Monroe Township, but obviously when you hit a mark of 20 years, it's a little more emotional, and I think we all felt that everyone was there, and I think it was a special event for everyone. As Councilman Van Zura had mentioned about the cricket tournament, I stopped by many times during the day yesterday, as one of the locations was at Veterans Park, which was right down the road from me, and it was actually the Garden State Cricket Cup. So it was people from throughout the state. There were many Monroe teams represented there. Everyone was very excited in regards to having this event held in Monroe Township. Just some of the numbers that were presented to me. There were 8 total teams, 10 umpires, 15 volunteers, 15 matches, 109 players. Now here we start getting into some of these some of these cricket terms, which maybe somebody perhaps can help me with. There were 3,000 balls, 4,000 runs scored, 179 wickets, 250 fours, 248 sixers. So I'm looking, everyone's got that blank stare, so I don't think anyone's going to be help me on this one. But there's a couple other ones on here that are pretty good. 121 catches, 18 runouts, 3 maidens, and 29 ducks. So, yeah, some good record keeping on that one there. It is fall. Obviously, with the cricket tournament happening, it was great to see everyone get out. Please continue to do so. Monroe Recreation and our parks have a lot to offer. And I do want to finish, as was mentioned by a few other of the council members here. I was a proud participant, and I see a lot of our candidates here who participated in the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum. Again, I think it's a great event, a great organization. And I always tell anyone who needs any information in regards to who's running, whether it's state, county, municipal, or the Board of Ed, that vote411.org is your place to go find what you might need to help you make the right decision. And with that, thank you, Council President.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's always a pleasure to have you report. I'd like to open the public comment section of our meeting. I would like to have a motion to do so.
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Please come to the microphone, state your name and address. Again, the reminder that there is hand cleaner and masks, etc., up there for you.
Gary Busman, 7 Monarch Road. It's a pleasure to be back after about 18 months, not seeing all of you good-looking people personally. I wish you all a COVID recovery. I hope we don't have to deal with it much further. Having said that, as a member of the Parks and Recreation Board, and also as an individual that appeared at the open meeting for the master plan, I am a proponent of more recreational facilities in our community, and I hope there's many items that will be recorded to indicate same, particularly in the southern part of town. Anything west of Federal Road, there's absolutely no parks. There's no place for anybody to go. And a lot of people are currently using the garden, which is on Applegarth Road, as a facility to sit and greet each other and have some sort of beverage or meal there. So that's a good segue to get into something else relating to the garden, since I am on the garden board. I wish to make the public and the board aware that we have just, on December 31st, have completed our 6th year in operation, and for 6 consecutive years, we have no sites available. In order to accommodate future garden holders, we have begun and will terminate applications at November 30th, so that we can be sure that we know who will not be coming back. We currently have, and don't get surprised when you hear this number, we currently have 55 people on our waiting list. There's 174 sites. We may need a second garden in the north side of town. That's something that needs to be considered. And having 54 applicants awaiting a site and the possibility of maybe having 12 available, that doesn't put a big dent in the future use of additional people. So as a board member, I commend the township, the administration, everyone sitting up there who has made the possibility of the garden being the success that it is. I personally thank you for your efforts, and I thank every department that has assisted us in making the garden the shining sight of the Township of Monroe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Busman. Sir, you come up from, please.
Peter Tefano, 10 Catherine Street. First thing I want to say is happy birthday to your mom, Mr. Mayor. God bless. Early July, I woke up in the morning to an overnight summer rain, and my 2 sheds in the backyard were totally flooded. I called Christopher Bevins, reported that my neighbor behind me had added about 3 to 4 feet of dirt in the back of his lot. Mr. Bevins contacted me and responded to me and told me that he would take care of it. August came, problem wasn't solved. I probably had about 4 floods in August with the summer rain. The night that you guys went remote here because of the storm, me and my family spent, I would say, about 7 hours bailing out the 2 feet of water in my backyard where my home was damaged. My 2 sheds are totally destroyed. All the contents are totally destroyed. And I just got contacted from Bevins, who told me that the person behind me was ordered to remove the dirt and didn't, so he went to court, where the judge gave him another 30 days to remove the dirt. So now we're at 120 days where my house is vulnerable to be damaged and was damaged. Just with the rain we had this afternoon, both of my sheds are flooded again, where I have thousands of dollars worth of equipment that I use for work and personal items. We have a gym, all destroyed, thousands of dollars. And 120 days I've been ignored by this township, and I'd like somebody to answer why I am not protected from people who do illegal things in this town. I'd also like to say, before you give me that answer, that if we want to protect the environment and stop the flooding, we need to stop blacktopping the farms in town. We need to stop the developers from overdeveloping the town. This way the rain has some place to go.
Thank you.
Joe, do you want to?
Mr. Weinberg?
Sure. Joe, do you want to give an update on that?
Mr. Stroin? I
you
recall
don't.
reading an email regarding this earlier.
Yes, I know that, Mr. Tefano, you've been working with Mr. Bevins, and believe me, this has been a stressful time for all of us. It's difficult. I can't even imagine for you, and it's obviously difficult for the township as well. We're trying to work through the system as best we can, and I know that a considerable amount of dirt has been removed from the property. There is still more to be removed. We were able to get a certificate of analysis as to where the dirt came from to make sure that it wasn't hazardous. And we have been working with the court system, and we will make sure that you're aware of the upcoming date as well, because based on what I've been told by Mr. Bevins, the judge really is not going to tolerate not having that system rectified days. So they do have a grading plan that is being reviewed that was prepared by an engineer for the resident that did the violation, and we're going to continue to press forward as a township and as an organization to make sure that these things are mitigated and rectified.
I appreciate that. However, I went to work on a Friday, and by the time I got home on Friday, that 4 foot of dirt was put in place. I can't understand why it takes 120 days to have the same amount of dirt removed. The dirt was put there illegally, without approval, without permits, without an engineer design. What should have happened, and maybe an ordinance has to be changed, maybe it's not anybody's fault, but an ordinance should be changed, where if somebody took a day to put illegal dirt and ruin someone's property, they should have 10 days to remove the same amount of dirt. It should take the same amount of time, if not less, to remove the dirt. They shouldn't be afforded the right, at my expense and my family's expense, to correct the issue in 120 days. I have thousands of dollars worth of damage, and who's going to be responsible for that? Is it the township? Township is allowing him to still break the law, when today, after that judge made that ruling, I flooded again. Right before I came here, I went in the shed and it's flooded. Another foot of water. It's not fair. Something needs to be done about it.
So part of this, Council President, Mr. Stefano, before you
Yes.
leave, part of this is that Mr. Stefano probably has more rights as an individual with regards to his neighbor than we do, because our ordinances allow us to fine people, but they don't allow us to issue injunctions, and we can issue orders ordering somebody to do something, but if they don't, all we can do is fine them, and we keep the fines. So you actually have private rights that far exceed what our rights are, including, by the way, the right to file suit against your neighbor to get compensated for whatever damages you had, and to go to a judge and get a judge to order him to remove the dirt immediately. The issue becomes, and I know, and this is the part of it that on behalf of the system I'll apologize to you for, is that the irony of it is that in order for you to remove dirt, you have to have a grading plan, so we make sure that removing the dirt doesn't cause a bigger problem. But as you pointed out, and sir, I have to tell you that you're right to this extent, he didn't get a grading plan when he put it in. But we have to make sure that when he takes it out, he does it the right way, and now we're forced, because we're the government, we have to make sure that the soil's tested and all of those things, because God forbid there was something wrong with that soil, it can't be dumped someplace else, and there's all of those state laws. But I do encourage you to take whatever personal recourse you might have with regards to the person who caused this, because it wasn't the township who caused it. And you know, I'm sorry the system doesn't work faster, but it's working.
I'm not blaming the township.
Okay,
I'm
thank
saying
you.
the township caused it.
No.
I'm saying the township took 100, still it's not resolved.
No, I understand.
20 days, there's an empty lot next door.
Yeah.
The-
But,
the grade
but
was-
what I'm saying is that it might have been done quicker if you had exercised your personal rights as opposed to requiring, we have very limited jurisdiction here. You could have gone to court the next day and got a judge to order the soil removed in 5 days, something we can't do. All we could do is issue fines. So it's the difference between quasi-criminal court and a civil court. A civil court, a judge on an order to show cause could have ordered that soil removed immediately, and you could have recovered your costs from that, from your neighbor. You know, we all have, you know, what rights that we have. You had those rights as a private property
Thank you.
owner. I just want to make sure you know that you have those, so it's not just exclusively a township remedy.
Okay, I
Go
got
ahead.
competing hands that wish to come up. Let him go first. Mr. Martin, and then Ms. Henry, please. Thank you, sir. Your name and address for the record.
How you doing? My name is Jay Foy. I live at 431 Hoffman Station Road. In the same situation as the gentleman behind me, but different in another aspect, because, you know, Mark Razumowitz, he stepped up to the plate. Charlie DePrimo, he stepped up to the plate.
Council
Alan
President, if you
Weinstein,
speak
he
into the
stepped
mic,
up to the
Excuse
plate.
me, can you
And
pull your mask?
One person on top of it was Joseph Strong.
Yeah.
You want my mask off?
Just down, please, because we're having trouble
Oh, I'm
hearing you.
sorry.
Don't
Speak into-
apologize. We all go through
I-
the
you
same
know, I
thing
didn't
every
mean to
day
do that.
now.
Speak into the mic.
But what I came here for was to thank these four gentlemen, okay? Because they did step up to the plate. And I honestly think what the lawyer said here is probably one of the things that I came up here to basically say, because it was township property that the people put all the stuff on. And I think Alan realized that when Mark found out when it was on the survey. So whatever you did actually pushed the people to get rid of the material. And I thank you for that. But when you read that course to you, it does get a little irking, you know, and I can understand what his position is.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I understand that your hands are tied too, but it wasn't a Republican thing, it wasn't a Democratic thing. This was a Monroe thing. And that's how I always look at things. You shouldn't look at it as a political statement, because it's not a Democratic thing. It's not a Republican thing. This is a Monroe thing. And it's the people in Monroe that you have to take care of. It doesn't matter if you are a Democrat, you're an independent, or you're a Republican. It should not even matter. When it comes to the people of the township, that's what matters. And that's how I feel. And Joe, right there, Joseph He stood up to the plate. That gentleman over there, he actually set up a meeting for me, had everybody in play because of a situation that was getting out of hand because I became a burden to some people. I don't want to sound mean, but I'm just being honest. And I don't like to talk bad about people, but I'm just going to say how it was. But that gentleman over there, I give him kudos to everybody, and I give Mark even more kudos because he was there from the start. Charlie came, he was the next guy. So it doesn't matter who it was, they got it done. But it's still not done because there's still damage to the township property. And the township property has been damaged in that swale. My wife said it the best, it's like the Wild West now. People are coming into this township not knowing what the good of everything that is around you. They're ripping trees out without any reason because they saw a fox. That was what was told to me. They saw a fox. I'm like, you have foxes, you have groundhogs, you have chipmunks, you have deer. I have it all in my backyard. I'm on a rural road. That's just the way it is. Every morning you would see a fox. It's like, you sit there and you go, if you don't want to live with the environment, they were here first. That's how I look at things. That man right there, I give him so much kudos. Alan, they walked the property. They were up and down the hills. And there were hills, weren't they, Alan?
There were else.
You had a little, I mean, honestly, it was difficult. I saw you. I didn't want to.
Everyone always makes fun of me.
I'm not making fun of you. I'm being honest with you because you were going up it and you slid. I didn't want to see you get hurt. No, I'm serious.
Yes.
That's gospel. I'm being honest with you. Mark, he just like takes off like a rabbit. Bing, 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 bing. He was done. But I'm sorry, but I'm getting a little off course here. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to say thank you, but I also wanted to say, when you pull that playbook out like that, that too can come from me going, the township property is the one that really did my damage. But I could go after the town, which I don't do, and that's not what I want to do. I don't look to sue anybody. I'm just looking to have something corrected. That's all I was ever trying to do. Because of the fact of the matter is that the township property got damaged, which damaged my property and my neighbor's property because of negligence of somebody else. And that's where I go.
And I think you're
ahead.
making my point, which is because it was our property,
Yes.
we're able to do a lot more because it's our property. But
I
when
was fortunate in that.
Well, when it happened, if your neighbor had done something on their property, then it's a whole different thing, right? Because on our property, we can go in and we could remediate our property. And that's what Mr. DeFano needed is his neighbor to do what we did, which is to step up and fix what was on our property. But I'm sorry, you're out of time.
No,
Thank you very much.
All right, well, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very
sir.
much. Thank you, madam.
You're welcome, sir. Now,
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Martin, you're next. Okay. Name and address for the record,
Good evening,
please.
Steve Martin, 24 North Disbro Hill Road, Monroe, of course. I want to take a minute first to thank all the council candidates and Mayor Delina for our town hall meeting. It was very professional. It was handled very well by the League of Women's Voters. It was a great night to get information from everyone and where everyone stands. And I want to commend everyone that was there. It was very, very controlled. The one thing I'm going to talk about tonight, which, of course, I have my sleepless nights where you can't sleep, so what do you try to do to sleep but read Monroe Township ordinances? I came across one that was very interesting, and this was passed probably before anyone on the council has been on the council. So we have an ordinance that was passed 2007-008. And this is our pay-to-play ordinance that was put in place by Mr. Pucci back in the day. And reading through the ordinance, it basically tells you that any donations over $300, okay, any professional or company cannot be awarded a contract for 1 year. So anybody who gives to a political party, Democrat, Republican, whatever it is, cannot be awarded a contract come that January. over $300. Their last 2019 after the election, there was a slew of contracts voted in January meeting, a slew. I just want to point out, there is a penalty also in that says anyone who does give over $300 and does get a contract and violating that contract can be excluded for contracts for 4 years. Okay? I think all of our council people here, also the ones that are running, have to understand that we do have a pay-to-play ordinance. And we need to understand it because this council here in 2019 violated that ordinance, but I don't bring it on you because you didn't know it. Okay? Nobody went back to 2007 and read those ordinances. But I think we do have to read them because they're on our books. Either we're going to obey them or we're going to change them. Okay? They are there. Let's not violate our own laws. Okay? Mr. Rainone, your name stuck out there. Okay? Because I know
Yeah,
you're...
I think that ordinance was repealed, wasn't it?
Was.
It was repealed.
It was.
We don't have a repeal on this ordinance at all.
Sure, yeah, it was repealed.
You got a date on it?
Alan, what, 2019?
In 2019, we matched the state ordinance, which is what
We
most
adopted
every
the
other
state
town does.
regulations, so that ordinance.
What was the date in 2019 of that
I'll have
ordinance?
to get it. Was in the summer. the fall.
Yeah.
Patty, do you know?
I don't have access to internet on here, but
Okay, so I will wait for a reply on that ordinance.
if you
Thank
go
you.
onto the township website, it clearly
But
says
it was repealed.
It was
was repealed,
repealed.
so-
So right now, we have no pay-to-play statute
No, no,
in place?
There's a state pay-to-play law, which is what we follow.
That's what we're following. So this
So that-
ordinance is
that's
no
not-
longer there?
No.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Who was next on, Melody? She was next, and then you, sir, okay? Please.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Happy birthday to your mom, Mayor Delina. Everybody's saying it, so I thought it would. Okay, just have a few
Know your
questions.
name and address for the
Oh, I'm
record,
sorry. I
please.
thought you knew me. Melody Henry, 264A Glen Road, Monroe Township. So I have a few questions, and I'll just answer me at the end of them. How many units in Rossmore were actually flooded or condemned? And of the condemned units, how were the residents made whole if they had no flood insurance? And what is the total cost for the assistance to these residents from the last two storms? And what are the total costs for the dumping fees for the last two storms? And I heard Mayor Delina refer to this, and I'm glad he did, but what specific mitigation efforts are underway so that we can ensure that this does not happen again to any of the other communities?
Mr. Weinberg, do you want to begin with where we are with that, please?
Sure, and just want to make sure I get that right. So, in terms of Rossmore, we have sort of a master list. It includes both Rossmore and outside of Rossmore because flooding happened in multiple places throughout the town. So I don't know if you're asking. So if you just want Rossmore, I believe there were close to 160 units that had some level of impact that we had heard from people. And that could be as little as a tiny water coming into, a sunroom and getting your carpet wet to what is almost significant, 3 feet of water, which is, somewhat catastrophic. So it ranges through the entire thing. And as, I don't want to repeat the mayor's report, but I can sort of go through some of the things that we've certainly been doing to try and assist residents as best we can. To re-highlight sort of what the mayor said. Obviously, as you know, we were out in Rossmore and throughout the town trying quickly to get power back on as quickly as possible because, if you don't get power back on quickly to folks, you could end up with a mold issue. And our construction department was immediately on the scene literally that day trying to get the power back on so we could turn the air conditioning back units around the entire town as quick as we can so that we can get some of the humidity out of the places. And so we had from that night probably 200 units that didn't have power. And over a course of time now we're down to 8 units that don't have power, that we don't have a contact card in. 2 outside of Rossmore, 6 inside of Rossmore. Nothing has inside of Rossmore has any structural damage, as I understand from the construction department, but there is certainly flooding damage, whether it be to walls floors, and a variety of other things. As the mayor said, we have 17 people participating who qualify for our rehab program. The library did their program, and now we have the program that the mayor and council authorized tonight to help residents who were victims, inside or outside of Rossmore, with heat, mold remediation, and some of those basic things that we're going to need for winter. We have been speaking with all the residents, and we'll do another round of calls this upcoming week to tell them a little bit more about this program, but we're trying to do everything we can. And finally, as the mayor said, one of the reasons we're rolling out that other federal program is because, it seems, patently unfair that, our storm was smaller than Tropical Storm Ida, and I know the mayor has spoken with fellow mayors in southern Middlesex County, and that's just, it's just not fair of what storm flooded you. So that's why we're rolling out everything that we possibly can from the township to assist. So that would be my comments, Council President.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
but I don't think you answered my questions.
Okay, sir.
Specifically, how many of those units were condemned?
So no units.
None,
Well,
okay.
let me answer the question. There's 6 units currently that are, and condemned is a strong word. There's a construction notice that says they can't be used right now. They don't have power. There are, I think, 2 units outside the township right now that can't be used. They may have power, but they're certainly unlivable. So it's the construction department that sees that.
In our world is that they are structurally unsafe and need to be torn down. I don't think any of the units met that definition.
When we're still doing some evaluations outside of the
Yeah,
town.
but we haven't made that determination as to any unit yet.
But in terms of what's uninhabitable, and I don't mean to be difficult, is that has changed each time from the night, because people who don't have power shouldn't really be living in their homes. So that has evolved to 8 people without power now who have certificates that they shouldn't be living in their homes. So the answer to your question right now is 8.
Okay,
But
so,
that's, I just want to make clear, that's not condemnation, though.
Correct.
That is not, the fact that we.
so
tell you
those
that it
units
can't
are going to be
habitable.
restored?
Condemnation
Right.
when you
Correct.
use that term, that means
Correct.
that we order that a structure, we put a big red X on it,
Right.
and it
Correct.
has to be torn down.
Okay,
That has not happened to any structure.
Correct.
All that's happened is that because they don't have power, they've been told that they can't have, they're uninhabitable right now until that
Correct.
gets fixed.
okay, so, do you have the dollar values, the cost for the assistance to these residents?
Council President, if I can answer that?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Sure, I mean, each resident is somewhat different. We had that larger fare. Some residents have minimal damage, some residents have significant damage. So obviously, we're trying to help everyone as best we can, but each person is different. So I can't.
understand that,
I don't,
Are you keeping track of this?
I'm sorry, Council President, if I.
Well,
if I
it-
can-
Yes, please.
Am I missing the
Yes,
boat?
please.
No, the
Simple
answer is
question.
that the cost, the damages incurred by each individual property owners they would know that. That's not something that we quote-unquote keep track of, because in some respects, the first instance is it's their insurance and their homeowners association insurance. So that's not the part of it that we deal with. We don't specifically track that. All we deal with is you have electricity, you don't have electricity, you have a hot water heater, you don't have a hot water heater. But we don't, if your answer is, are we keeping a running tally, there's unit 1 through 111 and what the individual damages are, no, we don't keep those. That's
Okay,
not
I'm
us.
asking what the town is expending. That's what I'm asking.
Oh,
Okay.
we keep
Yeah.
track
Oh.
of those things. Oh, now we
Yes.
understand. Go ahead.
Sorry, I apologize. I
understand.
wasn't clear, so I apologize.
Okay, and the cost for the dumping fees, you must have that because you're the ones dumping it from the last 2 storms.
Correct,
So
correct.
those kind of fees.
Yeah, we're already at about, I think, I want to say $30,000 in dumping fees, but we've had some conversations with the county, who hopefully, and the mayor has spoken with some of the commissioners about waiving those fees on our next bill, but we know we already have close to $30,000 in that. So we are certainly aware of that. We do have some bills that'll be coming to the council, that we did immediately to try and get everybody's immediate air conditioning on the first day. It wasn't fixing air conditioning, it was just inspecting air conditioners to make sure they could be safely turned on by our construction department. So we'll be amassing all of that together. So we'll have the final number. Disappointingly, unless FEMA designates this, changes their mind or decides to make it a disaster area, it'll be a number that we can share with everyone for our storm trust, but it's not a bill that we can necessarily submit to everyone, except for the mayor's call to the county commissioners about providing us some relief at the landfill, of course.
And most importantly, and I know the mayor said he mentioned it, but mitigation efforts, exactly what are we doing to be, to make sure this doesn't happen again? And I know a lot has to do with the master plan, but what are we doing right now to ensure that these other communities are protected?
Mr. Mayor, please join us for
just
this
to-
portion of this
Just
answer.
to finish up
Yes,
the
please,
note here.
finish this up.
I've been having meetings with the other mayors. We're going to look at it in a regional aspect. So there's been nothing to this point that's been physically done. So obviously, recovery is still part of what we're doing, but mitigation, we're going to look at it from a regional. I mean, just can't look at Monroe. You need to look at all the surrounding towns because obviously water flows through many of the different towns, and you don't want to do it piecemeal. You want to look at it holistically. So that's where we're headed.
And I can expect, Mr. Mayor, that you will regularly report to the council and to the residents of what the status of that is.
And I guess my concern is that the master plan reflect changes too in support of this.
Yes.
Okay,
There
thank
will
you
be
very
no
much.
doubt of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have another, yes, sir, please.
Brian Fabiano, 19 Patricia
Yes,
Place.
Mr. Fabiano.
Is there a number for seniors to call for the booster shot if they can't go on a website? I know there was that.
Mr. Weinberg.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, we've always accepted calls either in the mayor's office or the senior center. We're always happy to help folks.
Okay.
We haven't gotten many, but the booster's been going fairly well.
Perfect. Is there an update on the shared services communication between the BOE and the town regarding the track and field and the town paying for the updates?
That. I'm not aware if we have received the request from the Board of Education for that shared services.
You want me to take it or?
Mr. Weinberg, are you aware of where that is now?
Yeah, we candidly, we're always candid. We are working with the Board of Ed on a shared services agreement that would start at the Board of Ed, and they would look at it first, and then it would come to us. But it's not before this body yet, but we have been in some discussions with them on it.
Right, so if we're not getting information from the Board of Education in terms of what the terms of that agreement is and not from here, where we should originate our questions there then? Because
Yes.
the Board of Education is saying they're in conversations with the mayor and there have been things that are in discussion
If I can
for
just-
agreement, and
Sorry.
we're not getting any answers on either side, so.
Well, we don't have the answer to give you. We need to wait to hear from the Board of Education. They're the originator. They are the originator. We would be the receiver, and they haven't
Right.
passed that ball to us yet.
Got it. So there's no official communication?
No, there is
Well,
not.
there's discussions about a
There's
shared
discussion
services
about
agreement,
it,
but when
but
it
it
comes
has not-
forward, it'll go before both boards, just to be clear.
Correct?
Got
Did I
it.
say that correctly, Mr.
Got it.
Weinberg? Yeah.
One of the previous speakers spoke about the ordinance 2007, the pay-to-play. You said that was repealed in 2019.
Correct.
I know at the time, Mayor Pucci put that into place to go above and beyond what the state requirements were, because at that time, and I believe Council Vice President was Mr. Delina at that point, we felt that that was our way, or I'm paraphrasing, but it sounded like that was the way to go above and beyond. So I'm wondering, why was that repealed? If it was it's an extra safety measure for the town.
Don't remember the discussion. I don't remember the discussion. I simply know that it was repealed.
But why did we
We
repeal it?
adopted the state's ordinance because we believed we could work effectively with that.
Was the state's ordinance tougher than our ordinance?
Well, I mean, I can
Yes.
try and go with my
Please
recollection
think
at the
of it.
time, because I remember commenting on it, because it was a public procurement issue. We were trying to get as many folks interested in as many projects, and we were constantly getting calls from people who were confused or didn't want to participate in our program because they just thought it was an onerous ordinance. And they said they participate in towns where there's, it follows the state law and not unique, complicated laws. So
Got
we
it.
thought we would become more widespread in terms of interest.
Got it. There was some discussion about the League of Women's
League of Women Voters.
League of Women Voters thing the other night. I thought it was great. I did catch, and I was a little bit unclear, Council Vice President Snyder said that she was never aware of any builders making contributions to her campaign.
We are not discussing campaign issues this evening.
Got it. So then what we'll talk about is we'll go back to the law that was repealed.
Correct.
And we took the state law. So I'm wondering if we have year-over-year contributions to people who sit on this council by folks that work in this town, I'd like to understand how they can continue to do that. Just this year alone, I see two firms, and obviously you all know the elect forms are due today. I see Delaware Raritan Engineering and French and Parello Associates, a law firm, giving money.
Law firm.
Excuse me?
They're not a law firm.
Or whatever they are. I'm not, but I see two people, and one in particular, Delaware Raritan Engineering, who does work in this town, giving political contributions to people who sit and make the decisions here on this dais.
That wouldn't be covered by pay-to-play because.
But that's what my question
those
is.
aren't- Well, the answer is, those aren't covered by pay-to-play because they don't have a contract with us,
They don't have a contract with you.
right? Yeah, no, they don't have a contract with us. So pay-to-play only deals with.
So
contract-
Raritan Engineering has no contracts with the town.
I don't, and Alan,
I don't remember us ever awarding them any dollars. I don't know if they're
no, I
pre-qualified.
don't think
I'd have
so.
to check.
Same thing with French and Pearl would.
Got it. So Raritan Engineering doing $49,992 at the firehouse on Schoolhouse Road in 2019 would not be something that we would be paying for?
Well, that's not us.
No, that's the fire district.
But we give money to the fire district.
no,
Well,
no, the fire
taxpayers do. Well, hold on.
No, the fire, well, stop, okay,
Okay,
I'll
go ahead.
explain it.
Okay.
The fire district is a separate taxing entity. They're not the township. We don't control them. They have
Got
the
it.
right
So-
to impose property
got it.
taxes, and if they award a contract, we don't have any say.
Okay, so now one last piece to that question then is,
Sure.
how do we allow Center State Engineering, who gives a $2,500 donation every year, to be our engineer without having a conflict of interest?
Because they are awarded a contract pursuant to a fair and open process, which is the standard in the state, under the state law. And that's how, and under that, then of course, they
And then we're done.
are allowed.
So they
to-
give $2,500 every year to people that sit here, and that has no, you're saying that has no influence on the
They're
work they get?
They're awarded their contract pursuant to a fair and open process, correct.
And that has, and they have to
that
still
is-
give money, and that has
that is-
no bearing on anything?
That is the state law.
Got it, thank you.
Thank you for your time. We have someone else waiting to speak. I see a gentleman whose hand, I'm seeing two gentlemen whose hands are up in the back. One of you just, and you, Mr. Gunkelman, please. Your name and address for our record, please.
Shiv Patel, 29 Imperial Court.
Please say that much more slowly.
Shiv Patel, 29 Imperial Court.
Thank you.
Monroe. Recently, I had a carjacking while I was in my car driving off of Old Forge Road. I had contacted the police. I was able to evade them, but the police took about 10 to 15 minutes to respond. I know recently we've had issues with carjackings in town, and I wanted to see what Monroe is doing to prevent future carjackings around town.
Mr. Weinberg, you aware
Thank
of
you.
this?
I mean, certainly happy to discuss that with the chief. I'm only aware of the one, not that I know every incident with inside the town. Did you report yours to the police department? Were you?
Yes,
I'm
I
not-
have, and actually, it was funny that the officer that showed up,
Mhm.
they did a tremendous job. They made sure that they let the other police departments around town know if they find the car, they put a booty out. And I actually know I know Officer Penna personally. He graduated high school a year above me, and he's done a great job. But I just want to know what the Monroe Township is doing in general for the whole town to prevent carjackings, because I know it's been an issue not just here, but neighboring towns as well. And we have a lot of. I had my cousin's car get jacked about a month ago as well, last year, just around the same time. And it always seems to be around the time of the summertime, mostly, when people are on and about. We always make sure we have our cars locked and everything, but sometimes we just can't prevent these carjackings from happening. I just wanted to know what the Monroe Township Council is going to be doing to prevent these.
Mr. Weinberg,
crimes.
can you
Sure, well, I mean, as you know.
him and arrange to see that we get some appropriate information?
Sure, and I'm happy to have someone from the police department follow up with you. Obviously, we have 66 officers now, which is the most that we've ever had in the department in terms of patrol. And they work super hard on this in terms of patrolling the areas and making sure we have everything covered. And obviously, it is not impossible that incidents would happen, and we wouldn't want them to certainly happen. It's one of the things I always tell people, because you see it everywhere, is and this has nothing to do with like carjacking where somebody's actually inside a car. But too many people do leave their keys sometimes in their car, which makes it very easy for people to take their car, and that is a common problem. But I have not seen this as a significant issue, but I'll certainly bring it up to the chief and certainly appreciate your sharing with you and ask him to follow up with you to learn more about the
Be
incident.
sure we have your contact information so we can do that.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you, Council.
Good, thank you for your time. Mr. Gunkelman, you are next, sir.
Good evening, George Gunkelman, 5 Kelly Court, Monroe.
Good evening.
Everything that happened with the flooding was, pretty appalling stuff for the town. And I made a lot of effort with friends and others to try and understand what was going on and what was being done and where we could try and lean in and help where we could. I think the town has done a great job within the limits of its resources and what the law allows us to do and our ordinances allow us to do. But unfortunately, there's still a big gap of the needs of some of the people that were hardest hit. And unfortunately, some of them are, for lack of a better term, amongst the poorest amongst us, And some of those 14 that will qualify for the low income hopefully will help, but there'll be a few that are actually going to be forced to sell because they can't afford to work through this situation, partially because of age and their ability to cope with contracting and scheduling. It's just more than a little bit unfortunate, I think, that there's such a gap between what would happen if we had been a FEMA disaster area and the resources that are available absent that. And it's something I guess we need to get our county and state representatives to begin to address. If this is going to be this equivalent of the donut hole in residences, we need to find a way to address it because there are some real victims here. And I think everyone knows it and everyone feels for it, and there's been a pretty good community outreach by way of donations and everything, but the gaps still remain. Secondly, I wanted to ask, who do I contact to find out who's on the master plan stakeholder committees? Is that the clerk's office or who could tell me who's on that committee?
I mean, Council President, I think Joe or I can do that. I think it may be on our website as well.
Okay. It's on the website?
Yeah, it should be, yeah.
Okay, excellent. On the issue of the force main, if my understanding is correct, BFI is going to refund the town for any of its costs. Is that accurate?
Council President, no, that is not the current case.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay. The township is moving forward primarily and certainly reserves the right to make sure that the responsible party in this case does it. But I know the mayor had said if we wait for them to potentially support this solution, it could be quite a while, if not forever. So
we can go after them. We'll solve the problem and then
we have
go after them.
we have the opportunity.
All right. After the Sandy storm, and we had a few residents on that side of town that were severely impacted. There were a few units that were purchased to be removed because they were deemed to be likely to be impacted again. Do we, in looking at our mitigation, both of around the BFI area and also now from the current flooding, are there any homes that we're looking at that would fall into that category that should maybe be removed because it's likely to flood again in the future? Now, certainly in Rossmore it becomes a lot more complicated on a lot of levels, and I understand that. But when we're looking at mitigation, is that part of the range of things that are being looked into?
Mr. Weinberg.
Yes, and I've discussed this with the mayor, Council
Mr.
President.
Mayor, Yeah.
You want me? Yeah, we'll be looking at both the Blue Acres and what we did in 2011 to see if anything, meets the same threshold in terms of impact, absolutely. And I think some of those decisions in 2011 for homes that were built quite a while ago before FEMA had a floodplain were good decisions. I've discussed that with the mayor and council president because they could be repeatedly flooded or the damage was just so significant to the structural stability of the home.
Thank you. If I have time, I have one more question. On the consent agenda,
Oops.
Sorry.
I'm done?
We're
Yes,
done.
your time is up. Sorry,
Thank you,
Mr. Kunkelman. Sorry.
Sorry.
But he used some of my time.
When I looked down, it said one.
I've had it every meeting with you. I've missed hearing that the last year and a half.
Yeah, next time I won't breathe.
Okay, that'll be. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak to us now? Ma'am, please, come forward and your name and address for our record. Ooh, she's carrying goodies. Name and address, please. Thank you.
Lucille Di Pasquale, 70 Avenue K, Monroe. I was very impressed by the program from the League of Women Voters the other night, and I was very moved by the tremendous concern that our citizens have for our environment. And I just wanted to bring to your attention some of the things that I think were omitted, although you did a very fine job.
And you shared them with me, so I thank you for sharing them now with everyone else.
Okay, well, these are pictures that I keep on my desk and my mantle, and I look at these every day. Okay, we have again the community gardens, and I do agree with Mr. Busman that this is a jewel in our crown, and the way it is run and how successful it has been is just tremendous, and I thank you. We have, again, something I enjoy every single day, even when I hear all the screaming, and that is our spray park. And I think it was wonderful how the administration completed the third phase of the park, and we are now going on to the fourth park, as was very elaborately discussed by Mayor Delina about the bathrooms. And I think it's wonderful because many times I hear screams and people that are visiting me say, "What is that?" And I say,
Children
"That
play."
is joy, that we have a township facility that's used 100%. But what I think takes the cake, what takes the cake is not a physical thing per se, it's a concept. A concept our residents are
Gentlemen.
adamant about, which is sustainability. And I wear my shirt as a member of the Green Team, and I'm very proud of my certification that we, in 2017, achieved silver certification, which was only obtained by less than 10% of the communities in the municipalities in the entire state, and only 3 in Middlesex County.
And we are one of them.
And it encompasses so much. It's not just a park or a garden. It's just everything that we're doing is just so much on the mark. And I want to thank the council for supporting the Green Team. Unfortunately, and it was very painful for me to hear about the Oktoberfest, despite the fact that we can't have our Green Fair.
You have next year.
But hopefully next year. But we did prepare for a virtual Green Fair. And it didn't materialize per se, but hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll be able to do it virtually.
Thank you.
And I just want to thank the council for your support in all these endeavors.
I will take the privilege of the chair to comment to you that I was working with the Green Team the year they were working to get the silver
Right,
certification.
yes, I remember that.
Yes, yes, and important for all of our attendees who are not may not know that part of the silver certification requirements were the presence of a disaster plan,
Right,
the
right.
the work that needed to be done to meet sustainability, how you would respond to an emergency, and the training that people are required, so that
It's health
you
and
do have
wellness,
that
it's everything.
survey to look at, the work that was done when it is time, when they begin working on some of the mitigation efforts. Some of that research was done to get that silver certificate.
Right. Well, and I just want to thank the council, because
Thank
this
you
is
for that.
something that we must remember, that
No one
it's
will
a
forget.
passion of all the residents, and
Thank you,
it's
Jen.
carried out through the cooperation of the council.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address? Yes, please. As she, you need a hand, Lucille? You're okay? Oh, okay.
Lucille, thank you.
Nice to have two Lucille speaking on the same night. It's not such a common name. Lucille Panos, 1208C Lindera Plaza. Could you explain to me exactly the fair, or explain to the people what the fair and open process is? And please don't take it from my time, Council President, just
Ask your question, and he will attempt to answer it.
Sure, a fair and open process is the township goes through a process of requests for proposals and requests for qualifications. They're typically issued in the late fall. They require anybody who wants, once again, you probably know from your experience in Old Bridge that they have, they go through different categories and general legal, general engineering, and they require people to submit proposals, and then those sheets are scored, and then the council awards contracts based upon who submitted the request for proposal.
so if 10 engineers submitted an RFP, and it goes through who's on the committee to determine the fair and
Well,
open
that's
process?
done administratively, and Mr. Weinberg would know who is exactly on the committee, but the answer is that typically what we do is that we qualify more than one engineer, so you create an engineering pool, and then contracts are awarded from the qualified engineers from those pools.
Okay, I don't know how, but there's no, like, if a company gets a contract, okay, he's a qualified engineer, but it seems like the same 3 engineers get it all the time. It doesn't go out to rebid to the other 5 qualified.
Once again, it's not a bid, it's a request for proposals, and it's a request for qualifications, and we qualify the engineers based upon their proposals.
Okay, and that goes.
That's the manner in which professional services contracts are generally
I'd like to
awarded,
know-
because there's no bidding of professional.
When is this committee determined? Is it open to the public?
It's not a council committee, it's done administratively, it's scored by the administration, and this form of government, same as the form of government that you served as a councilwoman, it's done administratively, because the mayor handles contracting, submits them to council.
Okay, these
for
are
their
public
advice.
questions, I guess, that go to the. Is there a form, a standard form that
Yep.
this administration
And
looks
it's in the
at?
bid
Is that
packet.
public information?
It's in the bid packet.
Yes.
It's part of our bid packet that goes out. Yes, so, for instance, you could get a copy of all of the submissions from last year, or you could, not that you should have to track our website, but when they go out this year, you'll see them that they're put out on the website under, I'm not sure.
Okay, that I understand, that part I understand.
Yeah, but
It's
you'll
what-
see in that form, all I'm saying is that form
But
is
when it's
included as part of that.
determined which 5 got it, is that, those forms?
Ultimately, that's
There's a
public
checklist,
also.
I imagine. Somebody does piping, somebody does electrical, so is.
No, the answer is you just picked up 2 things that we don't do, but these are professional services contracts.
Right, I know, but engineers, is electrical engineers, somebody's maybe more proficient in sewer lines and somebody else is more proficient in buildings.
Correct.
So is there a checklist that this fair and open committee goes through that would be public information?
Yes.
And when it's determined, so if these 5, if these 5 engineers all submitted their RFPs, then as they're all approved, so as each contract is given out to one of these 5, is there a checklist? that
Yes,
is
Mr.
open
Chairman.
to the public to
Yes,
see.
yes.
So if there was a contract given last month, I could say, can I see why this company was picked over the other three companies that
So
were
generally, the way
pre-certified?
local government services likes us to do it is that we do it at the beginning of the year, and we'll qualify.
That
five or
part
six-
I-
No, but just so, and I just want to explain. So we qualify 5 engineering firms in January, so you'd be able to look at that checklist. And then during the course of the year, we might award a contract to one of those. You don't go through the checklist process again. You have them qualified. For instance, we qualify engineers that do stuff for water and sewer, for the water and sewer utility. They're qualified for those purposes. We qualify general engineering here at the township for just township-wide. So you'll see what we qualified people in what disciplines, let's call it disciplines.
Right, and is there a
then you'd be able-
checklist?
Correct, but we don't then go back and go through the process every time we award a contract, because we've now gone through the fair and open process and qualified them, and we have their proposal one time during the year, so that during the course of the year, we don't have to continually go through that. So it's the standard, it's what local government services basically advises us to do.
Thank you, so I could
You're
look
welcome.
at those checklists.
Yeah.
Correct.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to us? Yes, please. And your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Sharon Morgan, 168C Portland Lane. I live in Rossmore, and what I wanted to do was just thank the mayor and his people for all of the help that they gave Rossmore. I have friends in Rossmore who in fact got flooded out, and it was the talk of Rossmore with people that I knew with regards to the mayor coming and being so attentive to our residents.
Thank you.
It really made our residents feel like we were special,
You are.
made us feel that we're being well taken care of. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for that on behalf of people that I know and as a Rossmore resident.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is appreciated.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address us, please come forward, name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Monica Tarantino, and I live at 118 Avignon Road in Monroe Township. I'm here because I wanted to just share a couple of thoughts, and actually, I'm really pleased that I was here tonight because I got clarification on a couple of issues that I think more people need to be aware of. So I'll start with the good news, which is one of the things I've listened to many of the council meetings, the civility of the council members towards each other is just such, it's so professional. We can agree to disagree, but we have a discussion. As the gentleman said earlier, it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat, we're here for the benefit of the Monroe residents, and it's really important that civility continues in all of our discussions. I also think it's transparency. Questions get asked, questions get answered. But I think too often, and tonight we heard a couple of them come up, where all the facts aren't known, and we throw out statements that I wish more research is done, or it's asked more as a question than as a statement that says someone did something wrong. Putting misinformation out there really confuses people. And the thing that I thought the forum was great the other night, but I was perplexed by a couple of things I heard, and tonight it got clarified, I think, that the council has a lot of responsibility, but they are not responsible for Board of Ed spending, per se, if I understood that correctly. You are not responsible for the fire department awarding of contracts and spending, and that's something that I don't think most people, and again, I haven't lived here 40 years, but I'm here long enough to realize that I'm sure many of my neighbors don't know that. And it's something that we've got to be very careful with how information is presented. Likewise, I've had a small business, I've lived elsewhere, and variances. Variances are a normal course of building. And again, I listened, and I'm not looking to get political, but variance happens in every town. And there's always a reason for it, and I think the zoning board, the planning board, And the master plan factors all that in. And whether you live in Woodbridge or whether you live in Old Bridge, variances are being considered, and that's all part of doing business. But I think we try to be doing the right thing, and the master plan, I was happy to hear, and I continue to learn about it, that, I don't know what the number was, but I almost fell off my chair when you said 80,000. I know there were a couple that I gave, but I never had any clue that it would be 80,000. And I think that goes to what this council is about and why we need to just recognize that we are all part of Monroe. And the concern, as this woman said before, for Rossmore residents. So I guess my question is, do I have it right about the fire department?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have it right about the Board of Ed?
Yes.
Okay. And then the only thing I will tell you is that, like another gentleman who spoke about the police department, where he was involved with a carjacking, I was involved with a job scam. And I have to tell you that the police department and the police person, woman, couldn't have been any more professional, capable, competent, and really was able to address my issue. So I'm really trying to just say decency is important, how we deal with things is important. We don't need to steal signs, we don't need to get angry, we don't need to do anything. We just need to remember we're all part of Monroe. And so that's my 2 cents.
We thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Do we have anyone else who wishes to address us this evening? We see no one else wishing to address us this evening. I'd like the motion to close the public comment section.
So moved.
May I have a second? Thank you, Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? This is really good. And I have a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Second on adjournment, please.
Second.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
No.
This meeting is adjourned.